If someone told me a few years ago that my marriage would end because of my best friend, I would have laughed, because back then I trusted both of them with my life. My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 34, and this is the story of how the two people I loved most betrayed me, and how that betrayal ended up being the greatest lesson of my life. It all started about 4 years ago when I introduced my college buddy Ryan to my wife, Sophie. Ryan and I had been inseparable in university. We studied engineering together, partied together, pulled all-nighters before exams, and even dreamed of starting a business someday. After graduation, life split us in different directions. I landed a stable job in an energy firm, while he jumped between freelance gigs. But we always stayed in touch. Sophie had heard stories about him for years. Ryan this, Ryan that, she used to say, teasingly. So when he finally moved back to our city, it felt natural to invite him over for dinner. That night, everything seemed perfect. Ryan was his usual charming self, witty, funny, easy to like. Sophie got along with him instantly. They talked about music, travel, even shared jokes I didn't get. I remember thinking, great, my best friend and my wife get along. What could be better? If only I knew. Over time, Ryan became a regular presence in our lives. He'd come by on weekends, watch sports with me, or help fix things around the house. When Sophie decided to start her own online boutique, Ryan, who had some experience in web design, offered to help her build a site. I was grateful. I even told him, "Man, how are you at one? You're helping us so much." He just smiled. "Don't worry, brother. That's what friends are for." But slowly, things began to shift. I'd walk into a room and find them laughing at something on the laptop, their heads close together. Or I'd come home early from work and hear them talking quietly in the kitchen, the kind of tone people use when they don't want to be overheard. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. I trusted Sophie. I trusted Ryan. They were both adults, and I had no reason to doubt either of them. But deep down, something felt off. The first real crack came one Sunday afternoon. Ryan and I were supposed to meet up to work on a side project, but he canceled last minute saying he wasn't feeling well. No big deal, I thought. I spent the day running errands and came home a bit earlier than usual. Sophie's car was in the driveway, and I noticed Ryan's motorcycle parked a few houses down. I frowned. That was strange. When I walked inside, everything was quiet. But from the back porch, I could hear voices, faint, close, familiar. I stepped quietly toward the sliding door. There they were, sitting by side, talking softly, their hands brushing on the table between them. Nothing incriminating, just too comfortable, too close. I cleared my throat as I slid the door open. They both flinched. "Ryan," I said with forced cheer. "Feeling better, huh?" He stammered. Yeah, I was just dropping off that file for Sophie's website." Sophie nodded quickly. "He just got here, honey." Their faces told a different story. But I smiled anyway. "Great. Thanks for helping her out." Inside, though, I could feel something tightening in my chest. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing subtle changes. Sophie began guarding her phone. She started going out for errands more often. And Ryan became distant with me. Texted less, canceled plans, avoided eye contact when we did meet. One night, while she was in the shower, I saw her phone light up. A message from Ryan. It wasn't explicit, but the tone said enough. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." My blood ran cold. I didn't even know what last night referred to, but my instincts screamed the answer. My hand shook as I took a screenshot. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed more proof, not just for her, but for me. The next day, I told her I had to go on a 2-day work trip. It was a lie. I stayed in town and parked near our street, waiting. Hours passed, nothing. Then late in the evening, I saw a motorcycle pull into our driveway. Ryan. He got out, looked around carefully, then knocked twice before entering the house. I watched from the car, my heart pounding. For a full hour, The lights stayed on. Then they went off. That was all I needed. The next morning, I came home like nothing had happened. Sophie was cheerful, even humming as she made breakfast. "You're back early," she said, surprised. "Yeah," I replied calmly. "Trip got canceled." She froze for half a second, just long enough to confirm what I already knew. That night, when she fell asleep, I checked her phone again. This time, I found everything. Hidden messages, photos, and worst of all, her words. "I can't believe how alive I feel with you. He's a good man, but I can't help it. Promise me this will stay between us." My world crumbled. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the audacity, the lies, the way she'd smiled at me every morning while sharing secrets with my best friend. For hours, I sat in the dark, staring at her sleeping face. I wanted to yell, to wake her up, to make her explain. But I didn't. Instead, I started planning. The next day, I called Ryan. "Hey man, got some great news. Remember that position at my company you were interested in? I might be able to pull some strings for you. Come by tomorrow. Let's talk." He sounded eager. "Seriously? That'd be amazing." "Yeah," I said. "Let's make it official." What he didn't know was that I had no job offer. What I did have was a plan to expose him for who he really was. The following afternoon, I set up my laptop in the living room, recording everything through my webcam. Sophie was out running errands, which probably meant meeting him. So I waited. An hour later, Ryan showed up, grinning. "Ethan, my man, you really came through for me." I gestured for him to sit. "Of course, buddy. But before we talk business, there's something I need to ask." He looked curious. "What's up?" I leaned forward. "How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" The color drained from his face. What are you talking about?" "Don't lie to me," I said, my voice cold. "I know everything." He stammered something about misunderstandings, about crossed signals, but the look in his eyes gave him away. "I treated you like a brother, and this is what you did." He stood up, panicking. "Ethan, listen, it wasn't supposed to—" I cut him off. "Get out, before I make sure you regret ever walking into this house." He left without another word. And the moment the door closed, I stopped the recording. Proof, not for court, not for the internet, but for myself. So I'd never forget what betrayal looks like. When Sophie came home that night, she sensed the tension immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked. I turned the laptop toward her and hit play. Her face drained as she watched the video of me confronting Ryan. When it ended, silence filled the room. "Ethan, I can explain," she whispered. "No," I said calmly. "You can confess." Tears welled up in her eyes. "It just happened. We didn't mean to—" "Stop," I interrupted. "You chose this, over and over again." She fell to her knees, crying. "I love you, Ethan. Please don't leave me. It was a mistake." I stared at her, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, and felt nothing but exhaustion. "I'm not leaving," I said. "You are." That night, she packed her bags. No shouting, no drama, just quiet tears and whispered apologies that came too late. When the door closed behind her, the silence was almost peaceful. It was the sound of truth finally breaking through the lies. But deep inside, I knew the story wasn't over, because betrayal doesn't end when they leave. It ends when you heal, and I was just getting started. When Sophie left that night, I didn't feel anger anymore, just emptiness. The kind that fills every room you walk into, reminding you that something once warm and familiar is gone. I remember sitting on the couch, staring at the quiet house, surrounded by things that suddenly didn't mean anything. The framed wedding photo, the anniversary gift she'd given me, the scent of her perfume still lingering in the air. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt real anymore. For the first few days, I didn't tell anyone. I went to work, kept my head down, and pretended life was fine. But at night, the silence grew heavier. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was disbelief. How could she, the woman who used to hold my hand through every struggle, betray me with the one person I called brother? Every memory I had of them together replayed in my mind, and suddenly every laugh, every glance, every innocent moment took on a darker meaning. Still, I refused to let that pain define me. So I started writing. Not for anyone else, just for myself. A record of what happened, what I felt, what I learned. Some nights it was angry, other nights just sad. But with every word, I took a little of my power back. Then came the news I didn't expect. 2 weeks after Sophie moved out, my boss called me into his office. "Ethan," he said, "there's been a complaint. Someone's been spreading rumors about you and mishandling your projects." I blinked. "What? Who?" He hesitated, then sighed. "Your friend Ryan. Apparently, he told HR that you're unstable since your wife left." My blood went cold. That snake wasn't done. He wanted to ruin my career, too. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply opened my laptop and showed my boss the recording, the one where Ryan confessed. When it ended, my boss sat back, stunned. "Jesus, Ethan, I had no idea." "Neither did I," said quietly. By the next day, Ryan's freelance contract with our company was terminated. Word spread fast in our professional circle. His reputation took a hit he never recovered from. Karma had just started its work. As for Sophie, she tried reaching out several times. The first text came a week later. "I miss you. I know I hurt you, but please, can we talk?" I didn't reply. A few days later, "Ryan's gone. He's blaming me for everything. Please, I need someone to talk to." Still, I stayed silent. Then she showed up at my office unannounced, looking fragile, tired. "Ethan, please," she said softly. "I made a mistake. He used me. I was lonely. I didn't realize what I was losing until you walked away." I looked at her, the same woman who once promised forever, and felt nothing. Not hate, not love, just distance. "You didn't lose me," I said. "You threw me away." Her eyes filled with tears. "Can't we start over?" I shook my head. You can't rebuild trust on ashes. That was the last time I saw her for a while. The months that followed were slow, painful, but healing. I focused on rebuilding myself, physically, mentally, emotionally. I started running again, traveling, even joined a photography club. Every small step reminded me that life doesn't end with betrayal. It just takes a different path. And somewhere along that path, I met Claire. She worked at the local art gallery. Kind eyes, gentle laugh, the kind of calm that didn't demand anything from me. We started as friends. I told her I wasn't ready for anything serious, and she respected that. But she also taught me something I'd forgotten: how to feel peace in someone's presence again. 6 months after the divorce finalized, I got an email from Sophie. It wasn't a plea this time. It was an apology. She wrote about how she'd lost everything: the house, the respect of friends, the trust of family. Ryan had ghosted her, leaving her to pick up the pieces alone. "You were right," she wrote. "I destroyed my own happiness. I thought I was chasing excitement, but all I found was emptiness. I'll regret losing you for the rest of my life." For the first time, I didn't feel bitter reading her words, just closure. I replied with a single line. I hope you find peace, the way I finally did. And that was that. A year later, my life looked nothing like before. I wasn't the same man, not broken, but rebuilt. I'd started a small engineering firm of my own, something I'd always dreamed of but never had the courage to pursue. And yes, Claire was still around, patient, steady, kind. Sometimes, when I think back to everything that happened, I realize something important. Betrayal doesn't always come to destroy you.
Sometimes it comes to wake you up. The truth is, Sophie and Ryan did more than betray me. They freed me. Freed me from complacency, from blind trust, from the illusion that love means sacrifice without limits. Because real love isn't about losing yourself to keep someone else happy. It's about two people choosing each other, even when it's hard. And if one of them stops choosing, it's not love anymore. A few months ago, I ran into Ryan at a gas station. He looked completely different. Thinner, tired, older. When he saw me, his eyes widened. Ethan, man, I held up a hand. Don't. He swallowed hard. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I was stupid. You didn't deserve that. I looked at him for a moment, then nodded. You're right. I didn't. And I walked away. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is showing them you've already moved on. Today, if someone asks me what I learned from it all, I tell them this. You can survive anything, even the people you thought you couldn't live without. Pain fades. Trust can be rebuilt, but not always with the same people. And forgiveness? That's not for them. It's for you. Because once you forgive, you're free. The ones who betray you think they've broken you, but what they've really done is teach you what loyalty truly means. Ryan lost his career. Sophie lost her family. And I gained something priceless. Clarity, peace, and a second chance at happiness.